I like to say from the onset that the whole idea of local government autonomy is something that most Nigerians really like to have. Because the local government, as I know, as it ought to be, is the tortoise of government without argument. Somehow, if you look at how the constitution is structured, it will appear as if the framers never really intended it as such. Going by the provisions of the constitution as known to me. But in the real sense of it, it's something that can drive development. And like Sawagwa has said, the local government as the tortoise of government supposedly, be the tortoise of governance is supposed to be closest to the people, the grassroots, where developments can be, basic needs of life can be provided. But in reality, and regrettably to know, they have been under the stranglehold of, you can even call it financial chokehold of their excellencies. This conversation has been on for a very long time, and it will appear as if the governors especially have seen the local government as their cash cows. It's very easy to fleece the local governments because context, though provided in the constitution at the local government level, is not a popularity contest. It's by anointing. Once their excellencies say you are, you are. That ends it. And by so doing, there is no allegiance to the people, properly so called. The allegiance is to the appointer. That is the anointing authority. And that is where you have the mischief. The chairmen at that level are not really, they're not answerable to the people because their mandate never really came from them in the first place. And so I see the entire Supreme Court decision, as far as I am concerned, is a process, with all due respect. It looks inchoate to me because without a corresponding pronouncement on how these councils are constituted, how the chairmen are voted into office and the councillors, it will only be a mirage. But I think it's a bold step in the right direction. Is what the late Justice Oputa would call judicial activism. Radicalism, because if you look at it, it will appear as if even the judicial, they just had to look beyond the ordinary letters of the law and say, look, this is what ought to be in a society that needs to really push development. So since the governors have learned to fleece without missing, the courts too have decided to shoot the target directly. And by so doing, I mean the Constitution as it is would require some amendment. Our extant laws will require some amendment to be able to drive fully the entire issue about local government autonomy. There has to be a step forward. The whole idea of a SIEC, that's the State Independent Electoral Commissions, is so worrisome to many. In my state today, there's a lot of apathy from the opposition parties as to whether they should even go into that contest or not, because we all know that it will remain just what you call the hollow ritual if and only if there are no electoral reforms.
A one-party election.
Absolutely. I was called from the party secretariat to ask if people are not buying funds from my local government. Perhaps there is still a lot of apathy. Not many people believe in that system. So unless and until you can win the states of the power to conduct local government elections, all that pronouncement, the governors are smarter than that. All that pronouncement will be, with all due respect, a waste, because they can. Do you know how these things are done? And time will not permit, but I can talk from practical experience. Some of the things I've seen. Having served as chairman of Algon in the state at one point, and bravo to their lordships. That pronouncement is in tandem with the aspiration of majority of Nigerians, but we still need to go a step further. I want to encourage the Attorney General to also take before the Supreme Court. You understand? Because constitutional amendment also requires the buy-in of the state governors. I mean, the respective states' houses of assembly. I don't see much coming out of it because these same houses of assembly have earlier at a point voted against their own autonomy.
Autonomy, exactly.
I mean, it's curious. It's crazy. But that is the reality on the ground. So unless and until we weave some kind of, we need something around, over and beyond them, you know, go beyond them and try to get things done through judicial, I mean, radicalism or whatever you choose to call it. We will not go anywhere. Their excellencies are too fixated on the funds of the local government to be able to, and it's so easy to take because it's something you do without accounting. Can you imagine the state legislature going around saying it's oversighting local government councils, where local government councils have their own elected, quote unquote, elected legislature? They will leave the state because the governor is too big for them to look after and go after local government councils.
All right.